And.com kicking off another edition of MBSW on the sheet for this Tuesday, January the 6th.
Oh, yeah.
Did you enjoy a nice... I see you got a haircut. That's exciting. Did you enjoy a nice little holiday?
It was a very nice holiday. Spent a lot of time with family. I should tell you that I'm in a professional purgatory right now because I'm actually on family bonding leave from ESPN for the month of January.
Ooh,
So not writing, like my fingers will not work for a month, but I'm like doing our show. I'm doing all my other stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the last time I had family leave when Iris was born, I kind of like cut myself off from hockey. I disconnected from the Matrix for a little bit.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of in a place where I will be bonding with my son. It'd be nice to know that he has a dad, I think, in theory. And while also keeping my finger on the pulse of all things hockey in a month where there's clearly a lot that's going to be going on. So it's an interesting difference between the last time I did this.
I can't do it. I've never been able to. I've never been able to unplug during hockey season. Usually in the off season, it takes me 2 weeks to get comfortable and out of that rhythm. Mm-hmm. But I always feel, I know a lot, like I'm not casting aspersions on anyone else who does. I get it. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to mentally recharge when they see fit. I just can't bring myself to do I'm going to take a week off during the hockey season. Because I feel like I'm going to miss so much. And like so much of this job is predicated on, you better pay attention, Marek.
To each their own. I mean, like when we first met, I was in psychotic workaholic puck daddy mode.
Yeah, you were too. You were burning it, buddy. I got those 4 a.m. texts. I remember.
and I used to tell people it was like when Gretzky coached the Coyotes, where I would look at like Leahy and like Jen and be like, why can't you guys do this? And I'm just like, because they're not psychotic like you are. But eventually, like I came to a place, and you know, therapy helps, where
of course
someone needs to tell you the vacation days that they give you is part of your compensation. It's part of the success that you've had, is that you have the right to take some time for yourself during a very busy time. And so I've tried to take a little time during the season in the last several years.
Yeah.
It's not always been successful, but the trick is like you do need to take a week, because if you are trying to just disconnect from coverage, that usually takes minimum 3 days, right? And that probably leaves you 2 days to kind of just like vacation, and then you're back on a plane like right after that. So in-season vacations should happen, but the reality of it is that you only get like 2.5 days of actual mental break, because that's how long it takes for you to like not check the waiver wire.
Yeah, no, I know.
Your cabana
on the DL on the slide here, if you could just like send me your therapist's contact information, that would be just for a buddy of mine. We just had this conversation.
Good.
Not for me, of course, for somebody else. All right, let's get right to the program here, because we had a lot to get to today, and some interesting comments from Brad Marchand, which we'll kick off the show with. But in the meantime, we'll remind you, as always, that the Blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game at FanDuel. Do it, Zach. Do it, Zach. Do it, Zach. Yes, Greg Wyshynski, who you've already seen and heard from. He is Le Premier Étoile, comme on dit en français, the first star, as we say in French.
Whoa.
The program today. We're going to talk about Bob Pulford, who passed away yesterday. And I just want to show some important video going back to 1963 of a fight that changed the course of hockey involving Bob Pulford and Terry Harper. We'll talk about some interesting comments made by James Dolan, the owner of the New York Rangers, amongst other entities. We'll talk about booing. We'll talk about booing around Luke Hughes. And what could this mean for the New Jersey Devils? Conor McGahey of the Avalanche will stop by, play-by-play voice of the Avalanche will stop by. We'll talk about how dare that goalpost do that to my favorite player, Gabriel Landeskog.
Right. Like, what is happening? Everything was going so well. And I have we heard anything definitive as to what the injury is or what the outlook's going to be?
Wedgwood said something about ribs, and then McKinnon said something about bones versus tendons or muscles. Like, it's all like, put on your injury decoder ring and try to figure out what the players are trying to tell us. But no. Like,
I hope he plays in the Olympics. Like, that's the
thing.
The Avalanche could shut him down and be on cruise control and still win the division. But like, I really want him to play the Olympics.
So do I. I want to play in the Olympics. Want to play for the Avalanche all the way down the stretch. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I've made this point a couple of times, probably with you as well. It's going to sound like it's a shot at McKinnon, but it's not. McKinnon runs himself really hot. And when he's the sort of leader in the room, i.e. when Landeskog's not there, guys are sort of expected to run hot with Nathan MacKinnon. I don't think it's a coincidence that Landeskog comes in as a full-time captain of the team, and all of a sudden everything settles and everybody's comfortable in their own skin, and you see it on the ice. I always get kind of like, when I hear things about, oh, he's a good guy in the room, oh, he's great in the room and all that. Yeah, whatever. They don't flood the room. But when it comes to someone like Landeskog, just like how everybody looks so comfortable in their skin, whereas when Landeskog wasn't there, it didn't. Conor McGahey's better to answer this. It didn't really feel that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
to you?
we should talk to Conor about that. I love that theory because I mean we all know what MacKinnon is capable of, and we all know what he is off the ice. God forbid you eat a Snickers in front of the man. So having Gabe there would, I think you're right, would bring down the temperature and it's like pH balance, right? You need a base to neutralize the acid, and that's kind of how it is with Landeskog and MacKinnon, I think.
Okay, so we're going to get to that with Conor McGahey, who's just tremendous and always a delight to talk to, coming up towards the bottom of the hour. But before then, me and Wish are going to go on about a few things. And most recently, just before I came on the air, Brad Marchand with some comments. One, referring to the Toronto Maple Leafs fans as running Mitch Marner out of town. Oh, man, no one does it like him. And also saying it was between the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And
so let's
free agency. Which one?
Let's take the second one first. I think he's mentioned them being in the mix before. I don't know if he's ever been as direct about it being a binary choice.
Yeah.
But I believe him. Like we spent one of the joys of covering the Panthers during this playoff run was that Marchand would hold court every round. And he would especially hold court for the national guys. So like when I'm there, CJ's there, like he took a real joy in having us come to the room and sit there and just talk to us about stuff. And we had lengthy conversations with him about Toronto and about their plight and about their potential and about the way they play and the way they need to play. And I don't doubt for a second that if things didn't work out financially in Florida, that he wouldn't be wearing the Leaf, for a second.
I was told that. Now, I was told that like as of like a week and a half before he signed. Oh, he's going to Toronto.
Right.
He's going to Toronto.
I need to know more about the timeline though, because all of the boys that eventually signed in Florida all seemed pretty confident they were signing in Florida during the Cup celebration. Like if you remember the footage of Marchand on the back of the golf cart leaving like the elbow room or whatever, like. He's literally telling fans he's going to re-sign there long term. And same thing with Bennett and same thing with Ekblad. Like they all seem pretty sure that they were going to re-sign. Now, granted, that might be optimistic. They also might be on their 10th or 9th or 10th.
I was going to say they're all buckled coming out of the elbow room, and that's
going to be like,
okay, well, Brad Marchand said so. Well, part of Brad Marchand said that. Part of Aaron Ekblad said that.
You and I have been buckled enough to know that sometimes that could be truth serum. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like I would love to know when they actually knew. I would love to know when they actually knew because they all seem pretty convinced of it happening. And the way that Marchand portrayed it today was that it was a bit more tenuous than maybe. We all thought it was because at one point it kind of seemed just like a foregone conclusion they'd already signed. What did you make of running Mitch Marner out of town and that comment about the fans?
Okay, first of all, nobody embraces being the heel better than Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand is one of the smartest people in the NHL. You know, it's funny. I was having a conversation with a pro wrestler a while ago, and we were talking about heels versus faces. And he was, I was bringing up the point about how, one of the issues has always been nobody wants to be a heel. Everybody wants to be the baby face. And this wrestler, who shall remain unnamed, said to me, why do you think that is? And I said, I have no idea, because if I were a pro wrestler, I would love to be the heel, have everyone hate on me nonstop. Like, you're doing your job. Like, old ladies stabbing you with hat pins. Like, yeah, man, like that's, you earn it. How many times you get stabbed? That's how good a heel you were. Like, you judge it the old school way. And he goes, I'll never forget this. He goes, you know why everybody wants to be a babyface? And I said, why? He goes, because you sell merch. Goes, that's it. You sell merch. You sell stuff. Everybody wants to buy stuff from the babyface, not so much from the heel at all.
We're not doing the whole pro wrestling thing, but that's one of the reasons why Cody Rhodes has never gone heel, is the idea that if you're the face and you have the belt, you're going to be on top of the card, whether it's television or a house show. And sell merch and make money. I mean, there's a logic to it.
But that's why I've always respected the heels, because they've said, you know what? I'm going to leave this money on the table because I love being hated so much. Right? And that's Brad Marchand. That's the guy that doesn't care what people think about him in other markets. Right? He doesn't care what they say in Toronto. He doesn't care what they say in Philadelphia. He doesn't care what they say in Tampa. He really embraces being the heel. I don't think that that's a frivolous comment. There is not going to be well, what I was trying to say before my words were twisted was, you will never get that from Brad Marchand. I admire, because that is, that's a sore spot and always will be for Maple Leafs fans. Because let's face it too, normally, and we're starting to see it now with Morgan Rielly, Maple Leafs fans always pick a defenseman to run out of town. It's like a hobby. And it goes back to Larry Murphy. And it goes all the way through to your Aki Bergs and your Corey Crosses and your Brian McCabe's and your Jake Gardners and like all of them. They always picked a defenseman. But they really did get on Marner. Now, did Marner do himself any favors at times? No. But I think what really stings for Maple Leafs fans is he was one of their own. From Toronto, grew up there, played in the GTHL, probably should have gone down as the best Toronto-born Toronto Maple Leaf ever, and it didn't work out.
I just think that it's called a relationship with fans because it's a two-way street, and you can't absolve Marner for the lack of the performances in the postseason. You can't absolve Marner for the familial influence in contract negotiations and how tough those things went. And like, it's not as if there weren't some things happening on the other side of the equation that influenced what was happening with the fans. I'm not saying that some of the behavior the fans are pulling was justified. And I'm not saying that Marchand's wrong, that ultimately that relationship may have have pushed Mitch out the door. But I think there's probably a little bit more nuance to it than the black or white of it all that Marchand's spelling out. But what do you expect? So you're saying that the Panthers don't have a problem with him saying something like this? There's not going to be a text chain with like Forsling and Reinhart in which they talk about how they need to discuss Marchand's comments?
No.
Because, they have to make sure that it's team first?
No.
They're not going to do that?
No.
That's just reserved for young rookies in Calgary?
Do you think, I was going to say, I was waiting for you to get to Zayne Parekh. Do you think for one second that all of the Alexander Barkov, on the massage table on his phone, like, oh, hey, Brad, we got to talk about this. You kidding? Not a chance. Not a chance. You want to bring this into Zayne Parekh?
Yeah, absolutely. I find this story to be absolutely fascinating. That Parekh, gave an interview where he talked about how players in the NHL are robotic and they show no personality. And then, a scant day or 2 days later, had to give another interview apologizing for saying that, and in a zero personality robotic way, apologized for his comments to his team and his teammates. Now, I read Eric Francis
apologize for my comments, which were taken out of context.
Yeah. I read Eric Francis' story on this on Sportsnet, and I much to my chagrin. And I found a couple of things interesting. One, it did seem like it was the comments resonated within the team. To what degree, I don't know. But I mean, the fact that it is a rookie speaking at a turn and the team noticed it, makes it a story. But the most interesting stuff in that story that Francis wrote was from Nazem Kadri. And because Nazem Kadri is somebody who's been outspoken since he was a rookie in the same way that Parekh has been.
Yes.
And his comments were interesting, which is that he defended him. And he kind of said there's nothing wrong with what he was saying, but he did say that there's a certain maturity that comes with maybe knowing when to say it or knowing how to couch it. And it was really interesting to hear from Nazem because I feel like he's sort of an expert on the matter in this situation.
Here's the thing: the words themselves may have been awkward or phrased in a way that will get the backs up of a lot of NHL veterans, certainly a number of Calgary Flames, but it wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. No. He may have said it differently to soothe all the sensitive egos. But I think the part that, like, whenever I see a team get too upset about it, I always think to myself, the reason you're getting upset about it is because there's more than a kernel of truth in it, and you know it. That's why it lands, right? Like that's why it landed. Like if it was completely outlandish, it wasn't even like, in the grocery store where you see someone you haven't seen for a long time. You don't want to stay and have a conversation, but you just kind of nod, like as you pass in the alley. I just got nodding acquaintances. Like
Right.
This wasn't even like a nodding acquaintance with truth. This was like players would read that and go like, I know he's right, but he doesn't have to say it.
Now, there's a reading of it that is calling his teammates boring. And by the way, if the Calgary Flames are at all offended by that characterization, my God, you people used to employ Sean Monahan. The boredom of Sean Monahan became
boring. Sean Monahan was a Twitter handle.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that Brian McGrattan, by the way, that ran that? Did we ever get a definitive on who ran boring Sean Monahan? Was it McGrattan?
I think we Benoit Blanc'd that to find out that it was McGrattan. Now, look.
Okay.
This all comes back to hockey culture and how much it sucks, and how, once again, the one thing keeping hockey from being immensely popular in North America is hockey. And I think the Flames are saying that, kind of diminishing the impact of this and saying it's not a big deal and it's just a rookie kind of speaking out of turn. But like, why even get upset about it? Who cares? Like, why does he have to answer the media's questions about this and issue an apology and do all this stuff? Because then it becomes, it's like the media always gets yelled at when we take on a controversial comment and make a big deal out of it. All the fans come to us and say, oh my God, they're scared little deers. If you're critical of what they say, they'll run away and never say anything interesting again. I think this has much more of an impact, which is that when another rookie sees a really talented young player get pilloried for speaking the truth and not saying anything pointed, not mocking an opponent, not doing anything really out of turn, but saying something that may have ruffled a feather or two on his team, and then having to apologize for it is like as chilling as anything that could happen for a young player. Like, other young players in the junior team will see this. Other young players coming up will see this. God forbid you say anything of interest. You may have to then stand before everybody and apologize. And then, before you're allowed to get assimilated back into the Borg collective, because they are robots at the end of the day.
There are 4 words that have done a lot of damage to hockey. Do you want me to say them?
Ignoring heated rivalry daily.
Don't be a distraction.
Yeah.
How many times have players heard that growing up?
Yeah.
In through hockey. Don't be a distraction. Don't be a distraction. Don't be a distraction. Don't be a distraction. It has kept everyone's mouth shut, except for Brad Marchand. Like, I think it's probably like to the point where I've had conversation with people about this. It's one of those things that's probably kept players from coming out.
Without
the
question.
idea of like, oh, I can't be a distraction. Oh, I can't come up. I can't be a distraction. I can't be a distraction to the team.
Even if they have acceptance in the room, like people know, like
absolutely,
like to go public with it is the issue. To go public with it is the distraction. Not anything, not who they are or anything like that. It's having the media comment on it. It's becoming a cycle of coverage would be the issue.
Yeah. It's done so much damage for so long. Don't be a distraction.
It truly has.
Be yourself.
Think about the NFL. Think about if like the best young wide receiver in the NFL said, you know what the problem with this league is? There's too many guys that are just robots that have no personality in interviews. Do you think? And like the starting left tackle on his team started a text thread that's like, we've got to really rein this guy in for what he said. They'll never sing that. Or the NBA, like a top rookie in the NBA is like all the other players in this league are robots that have no personality. Like the backup power forward is just like, I don't know about this guy. It's just it's a hockey thing, and it's so stupid. I'm so tired. It's 2026, and we have people having to apologize for having the audacity to say this is a boring league that's way too safe, and none of the players want to exhibit any personality. I don't know, man. This one really bugged me. It really bugged me.
Then let's use that to transition to another topic: booing.
All right, let's go.
Luke Hughes Sunday against the Carolina Hurricanes, and the subsequent reaction / potentially overreaction to a lot of it. First of all, do you have an issue with what New Jersey fans did to Luke Hughes on Sunday?
So this is great because this reminds me of like when your favorite band starts to get more interest from people, and then they start talking about your band in ways that shows that they don't know anything about the first 2 albums. That's kind of how the Luke Hughes thing strikes me, because there's been so much talk about this in places from people that have absolutely no context as to why this is happening or the meaning behind it. So let's get into it.
Okay.
They're booing him because he scored 2 goals for the other team. Let's start there. One of them was directly in. Another one was an absolute bonehead play where he skates the puck in front of his own goalie. Taylor Hall takes it off his stick and he scores. Any player that scores 2 goals for the other team in a game in which the home team is losing, there's a high probability that their player gets booed. Now, he may not get booed every time he touches the puck, which brings us to the Luke Hughes of it all. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of underlying things happening with Luke Hughes and Devils fans. The contract, where he misses camp, and I think that it's safe to say, based on a lot of the numbers that we're seeing this season, that Luke Hughes is this year's Jeremy Swayman, where missing camp has adversely impacted his first half of the season. When you're
young, it was just a quick aside. When you're young, it can really kill you. Like Doughty did it before, and it didn't crush him. But when you're young, man, missing camp hurts. Sorry, go ahead.
Completely. And offensively, he's done some really good things. I mean, part of the irony of what happened against Carolina was the day before he helped fuel their comeback against Columbus. But like his underlying numbers this season have been absolutely a train wreck, and he's not played well. And he's got that big contract that he earned through not going to camp. And a lot of Devils fans are upset at that contract because they feel like it's money that he hasn't earned yet. It's for services yet to be rendered, which brings us to the other part of this. Why did he get that contract? Well, a lot of people feel like he got that contract because his brother happens to be the franchise player. And this is where we start to get into the booing of it all. There's a perception amongst Devils fans that Luke Hughes, in his first few years in his career, has played poorly enough to warrant a benching, to warrant a scratch, to warrant, hey, spend some time down in the AHL and work on some stuff. Those are all the things that happened to Simon Nemec in some of his early seasons, but never happened to Luke Hughes. And the thought has been, the reason it hasn't happened to Luke Hughes is because he is Hughes, Luke, because of his last name, because you don't want to upset his brother by singling out Luke and punishing him for poor play. And so there's a certain entitlement to the way that he's been treated. And by the way, check his ice time in the third period. There was absolutely no repercussion for scoring 2 goals for the other team in that game. And so all of this is kind of like the pressure underneath the volcano that led to the booing of Luke Hughes in that game against Carolina. To answer your question, Marek, I've got no issue with it. I've got no issue with it.
Oh, it's fine.
As long as
it's fine.
As long as it's self-contained.
Fans want to boo. Fans want to boo. Let me see if I can throw another log on the fire here.
Yeah.
Is part of that booing, because again, like the nameplate says Hughes, is part of that not just because of the performance, and like, listen, Taylor Hall is a veteran player. He's really smart. The puck's around there. He's getting a stick on it. The other one, it's just a brain cramp. Happens, especially young players. Is part of that because Quinn Hughes is not on the New Jersey Devils now, and is part of that is part of that a venting towards Tom Fitzgerald, because Tom Fitzgerald's not on the ice for them to boo. Is that their way of doing it? And essentially, Luke Hughes is the Tom Fitzgerald proxy on the ice.
Yeah.
Is that part of it?
Yes. I think the Tom Fitzgerald proxy part of it is right, but I don't think that the fans, by and large, are blaming the existence of Luke as the reason they didn't get Quinn, even though there was this notion put out there that why would Quinn come to New Jersey and take his brother's ice time? That obviously is going to be an issue.
I've put that forward. I've put that.
You weren't the only one. But you weren't the only one, and I think that's an issue no matter where the three of them play. It'll be an issue in 2030 when Jack and Quinn are in Minnesota and they trade for Luke. Like, that'll be an issue wherever they play. But I do think there's something to be said for like fan discontent. I mean, listen, the fans are pissed off. It's kind of insane to me that we've heard from James Dolan more than we've heard from Tom Fitzgerald in the last like 2 months. Like, do you know how rare that is, or how insane that sounds? And so there's probably a part of that too. But listen. I got no problem with them booing Luke Hughes. He had a terrible game. I have no problem with them booing Luke Hughes because he's had a terrible season. I will have a problem with them booing Luke Hughes if this carries over past one game, if it becomes a thing. Then we start to get into who would want to play in New Jersey if this is the way they treat one of their best young players.
You know, I wonder too. It was Patrice Brisebois, whose nickname in Montreal became Briseby, right?
That's right.
In Montreal, remember that one? Oh, Patrice Brisebois. Montreal Canadiens fans got on Brisebois hard for his play in his own zone. to the point where, and this is rare, you don't see this for obvious reasons, mainly owners don't like it. Bob Gainey, who was the general manager of the Habs at the time, came out and said, if you're going to boo our player, don't come to the game. Like, went out there publicly to defend his defenseman. And I think it was George Gillette, who would have owned the team at that time, was probably like, oof, telling people not to come to the games. Like, hey, Bob, that's a line. But it's Bob frickin' Gainey who's telling Bob Gainey what to say. But Gainey went out there and said, if you want to boo our defenseman, if you want to boo him, don't come to the games. Don't come to the Bell Center. Do you think that, like, what would happen if Tom Fitzgerald did the same? Like, if it happens another, one game, self-contained to your point, if it keeps happening, could you see Tom Fitzgerald doing the Bob Gainey and saying, you know what, if you're going to boo our guy, don't come to the games?
So that can go one of two ways. That could go the way of, okay, your tickets are really expensive and you are two teams from the bottom of your conference. Advice taken. Or it could be the thing that I think has defined Devils fans through the years, and I think defines them in this moment on Sunday, which is a real burr in the saddle defiance towards
That's
people.
what I think would happen. That's what I
saying
think would
something
happen.
like that and encouraging it. And now you're gonna then you've got heat on Fitz. Like, now it becomes about Fitz. Now it's like all about that comment and that guy and the lack of success for the team on the ice, and it becomes laser focused there. So I don't know. It's always interesting times in Jersey, but my point on this is that I've read a lot of coverage and I've seen a lot of comment about it, and I don't think people really understand sort of the underlying stuff with Luke in New Jersey that contributed to that on Sunday. But I'm with people that are like, if this becomes a thing, and I've heard people say, hey, next Devils home game, give the kid a standing ovation, like if he's in the starting lineup. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. The team rallied around him. He's an important part of this team going forward contractually. But like, it's okay to let somebody that know how you feel about their season, and certainly to let someone know that when you're playing, that was a really important game, man. That's the best team in your division, and Luke Hughes spotted them 2 goals. Like, literally spotted them 2 goals for a team in Jersey that doesn't score all that much. So boo the hell out of him if you want for that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, a couple more things here. We'll stand by here for Conor McGahey, and we'll get into some Colorado Avalanche issues. What did you make of? And now I thought it was going to be McElrath going at Jacob Trouba yesterday, but it wasn't. It was Brandon Duhaime. So the Anaheim Ducks visit Capital One Arena yesterday. We're all wondering about the Ryan Leonard hit, which I had no problem with. I didn't think it was a dirty hit, didn't deserve any supplemental, and didn't get any. But nonetheless, you hit our kid, we're going after you. Brandon Duhaime goes at Jacob Trouba, and Dylan McElrath found his fight against Ross Johnston.
Yeah.
That was, it's happening more and more, but that's how things used to always happen. Like, didn't matter what division you're in, Smythe, the Adams, Patrick, whatever, didn't matter. That's the way things used to happen on a consistent basis. Doesn't matter if it's a penalty. We just didn't like it, and we're going to do something about it. Right. Got a quick thought on that one?
And then to read the comments about Duhaime after the game, a lot of the boys were like, it fired us up to see him step up and make a statement against the guy. It wasn't much of a fight. It wasn't really a comeuppance. I think Jacob Trouba is feeling fine. But again, like, just to have it happen, I think within hockey code is a rallying moment for the team, and it's nice to see someone step up and try to get some comeuppance for what the team wasn't happy about, even though I agree with you on the hit.
That was done for one person. That was done for Ryan Leonard.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was like kid. That's all it is. Like, fired up the bench, Oliver Carberry can talk about, what it meant for his team. That was Brandon Duhaime. That's love letter to Ryan Leonard.
Don't call us robots, you little shit. But, we'll stand up and fight for you if you get hit. I just want to say, I know we have our guest is almost here. I just want to mention Dylan McElrath, man. Like, I was there in 2010 when he was taken 10th overall, and we were all like, what? Yep. It didn't make any sense then. It made less sense then. But again, the key phrase, 2010 draft. This dude is still playing in the league in 2026 with the Washington Capitals.
Still fighting in the league. Still fighting in the league.
is he like the last guy that's kind of remained like a tweener relevant guy to fight his way into the NHL on occasion? Like, I guess you've got guys that still fight like Reeves and stuff, but like someone like McElrath who's kind of like, with Washington, he's like played 6 games and he gets in there to throw to Chuck Knox. Like, he's such an anomaly, but dude, like, what a survivor. This guy is, I think he's considered to be a draft bust. He's hung around forever. He never actualized into an NHL defenseman of any import, but he's just like stayed around to serve a role, and damn it, he's still playing in 2026.
Final point that I want to make on McElrath, because I want to talk to Conor McGahey here about the Colorado Avalanche. When you're a tough guy, one of the hardest things to do is go from team to team to team. Because if you're a tough guy and you stay on one team for a long time, you can coast on the rep. Mm-hmm. Everyone's already seen you do it. You can surf on the reputation. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But when you're a tough guy and you go to another team, you got to prove it all over again to that fan base. And then you go to another team and you got to prove it all over again. That is hard. That is tough. That's why he's earning it the hard way, and he's gone to a lot of teams, and everywhere he's gone, he can't surf on the rep. He can't.
Again,
he's got to go prove it, man.
It's like seeing someone who was in WrestleMania in like 2012 still taking bumps in the Indies in 2026.
All right, that's usually my cue to transition. Conor McGahey is standing by, play-by-play voice of the Colorado Avalanche, to talk to us about the one thing, Conor, and welcome back to the program. The one thing that I am sure of in the NHL, like here we are at the midway point, I'm only sure of one thing: the Colorado Avalanche are awesome. After that, I don't know. I have no clue what to make of this. What to make of this lead. To that point, what say you?
Well, I say that it's hilarious that, I mean, we're spoiled. I think we have been in Colorado for some time to watch the talent that we have on the ice, but to see it come to fruition with 3 regulation losses through 41 games of the season is almost unheard of. I mean, since the NHL went to 80 games in, I think, 74, 75, this is the best 41 game stretch that any team has had. So I think the complaint list is about 0, and it should be. I would complain about losing 2 main pieces in the past 2 games for the Colorado Avalanche. But results-wise, it does not get any better than what it's been through 41 games for Colorado, sitting at 69 points.
Wish?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Wedgwood and Blackwood. We ran our NHL Awards Watch today on ESPN, and Wedgwood is right up there in the Vezina conversation, which is mind-blowing to think about someone who's bounced around the league a little bit in the last 5 or 6 years, actualizing as a Vezina candidate this late in his career. But, for me, the work he did when Blackwood was injured really sort of was a stabilizing force and allowed the Avalanche to get off to the start that they did. And now Blackwood comes back, and as someone, one of the voters for the Awards Watch noted, he's kind of building a Linus Ullmark record. Like when the Bruins had that season and Ullmark had the insane record. It seems like Mac Black is kind of doing the same thing. How vital has the goaltending been to this start? Because I feel like sometimes it gets overlooked.
Well, it does. And if you go back, Wish, to last season, where the Avalanche started with Alexander Georgiev and Justus Annunen as your goaltending tandem, they realized that was not good enough, wasn't even close to good enough. So you get to November and you make the trade first for Wedgwood from Nashville, for a song, and he comes in, and then 10 days later, something like that, you secure Mackenzie Blackwood from the San Jose Sharks. And from that point on, the trajectory of the Colorado Avalanche turned from uncertain to more certain last year. Obviously, you have to run into Dallas in the first round, which should never happen. That's a discussion for a different day. But the goaltending has been one of, if not the main reason that Colorado, aside from Nathan MacKinnon being on pace for 70 goals and 150 points this season, the story has been the Avalanche goaltending. Scott Wedgwood leads the NHL outright with 18 wins on the season. Mackenzie Blackwood only has one of those regulation losses after coming in. I think he's won 5 games in a row now. Not on this trip. He's a little injured. We'll get an update on him when we return tomorrow as the Avalanche host the Ottawa Senators on Thursday. But without the goaltending, I don't think this initial run for the Avalanche stands, and Colorado doesn't make it into where they did last year either. So I think it goes all the way back to last late fall, early winter, where, and all the credit in the world to Chris MacFarland for just being able to recognize that something needed to be done and taking the steps to go out and do it. And if you look pieces that moved around for both of those goaltenders, it's really a very, very small price for getting what is arguably the main piece of your team in order to go forward and win in the goaltending position.
Let me ask about a couple of key injuries here that you referenced off the top. Gabriel Landeskog and Devon Toews. First of all, awful. As I've said before, probably to you, Gabe Landeskog is selfishly here, editorializing here. But he's my favorite player in the league, and he has been for like a long, long time. I have all day for Gabriel Landeskog, and that goes back to when he was beating the brakes off Jake Muzzin in junior hockey with the Kitchener Rangers playing against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. I say it like that to make Greg Wyshynski laugh. Do we have anything close? So happy. Anything close to an update on either of these players?
We did get a little bit one that was confirmed from yesterday from Jared Bednar this morning. Both Gabe Landeskog and Devon Toews are back in Denver. For Landeskog, it was described he's going to be out for weeks, and Devon Toews is week to week. His is not as serious as Gabe Landeskog. But if you watch that play where Landeskog gets hurt, and by the way, we need to investigate the goal situation in Florida because first Seth Jarvis and now Gabe Landeskog.
Clearly.
Yeah. Let's open up an NHL investigation into how deep those holes are drilled there in the ice. But if you watch that initial play with Landeskog, fellas, I thought it was another knee. Because how many times have you seen it or you've experienced it yourself? You catch that inside edge, and there goes an MCL. So initially, especially given the history of Gabe Landeskog, everybody doesn't want to assume. But I don't want to say it's good news in regards to that. It's we don't know exactly specifically, but it could have been a lot worse, I think. So it was described by Jared Bednar this morning as weeks for Gabe Landeskog. It's early to tell if the Olympics are still in play or not. But that aside, not being able to compete for your country is a bummer. However, that's a natural cushion built in for healing if you do, in fact, need it to go and push for your second cup in 4 years. So Toews, I think, will be back before Gabe Landeskog, but it has been described as weeks for the Avalanche captain.
I want to ask a question that Marek posed earlier in the show, which is one of the reasons the Avalanche have been able to do this is that Gabe is back, and they need Gabe to balance out Nate off the ice. It's like you need the base to neutralize the acid for pH balance. You need Gabe to neutralize the intensity and the Nate Dogg of it all from McKinnon. And that beautiful alchemy between those two leaders is the reason why the Avalanche are the Avalanche this season. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's some truth to that. I will give McKinnon a lot of credit that he has grown significantly all around as a human being and as a player. And I got to give him a lot of credit for that because we've seen the from far away or up close some reactions. And look, give me a player like that all the time. Give me a player who cares that much and wants to win that much and wants to be the best that much. I will take a player like that to lead my team every single day of the week. And different teams and different groups have different leaders and leadership styles, but I think Gabe Landeskog, as you mentioned, is the perfect mix for something like that. I don't think that as much base is required to counteract the acid, as you put it, but just because I think that Nathan McKinnon has matured a lot. McKinnon has grown up before our eyes. Yeah. But I do think that Landeskog coming back is, we talked about the goaltending. I think Landeskog being around is one thing. Being in the room, on the bus, on the plane, on the ice is a completely different animal when it comes to leadership. And that's where he's led by example. I think more example than with words most of the time. And that's what makes him one of the longest tenured captains in the National Hockey League. And in my opinion, one of the best captains in the National Hockey League. So both him and Devon Toews are very similar in that with how they lead. Toews wears the A once in a while as an alternate captain for Colorado, but I will end it with saying that McKinnon gets or needs a lot more credit for growing as a player and a person. I would say probably in the last 3 seasons when Landeskog wasn't around, and I think McKinnon realized that, and he realized that he he needed to grow up a little bit, and I think he absolutely has. So kudos to him.
My high school chemistry teacher was out there smiling somewhere for all this acid and base talk. I remembered something. I remember
I failed chemistry miserably, so this was a struggle for me.
Well, listen. When there are lockouts, we all become like amateur actuaries as well. Like, oh, we've studied a pension law. We understand all these different things. So don't worry. We play amateur chemists here at the same time. Let me ask you about Josh. Let me ask you about Josh Manson. So he looks like a different player this year. We talk about Landeskog beating the brakes off of Muzzin back in junior. When I'm watching Avalanche games and something gets frisky, like this is like old school Josh Manson who like straightens things out like he's 24 years old again. What's different? Is he completely healthy? Like I'm trying to figure out. Like first of all, for the Avalanche, it's awesome, but like we're watching a guy go back in time here. Like this is that younger Josh Manson that we saw not too long ago. What's the difference?
Well, I think the difference is 100% health, because whether it was on the surface or underneath, he'd been struggling with some things really ever since the Cup. Mark Rycroft and I were going back since we're in Tampa today and looking at that entire Stanley Cup final series versus the Tampa Bay Lightning and looking at how individuals worked, how the power play worked. And Josh Manson was a goal and an assist for a +6 in that series. A huge difference maker that nobody really talked about. And now in his last 8 games with points, all assists, 3 of them he's had multi-assist games. So not only can he defend as a big body, as a natural pair with Brent Burns on the second pairing for the Colorado Avalanche, but he's also attacking. He's not afraid to bring the puck up the ice. He's not afraid to distribute. That shot from the point is more deadly than people realize to get a deflection like we got in Florida on Sunday. And so I think for a player like Josh Manson, health leads to confidence, which leads to production, which is exactly what you're seeing this season. This is the Josh Manson that was acquired from Anaheim in the spring of 2022 to help propel the Avalanche to their 3rd Stanley Cup in franchise history. And again, you need all these chemicals, staying on theme, to go back into the pot to create our nice little looking cake, which is what it'll turn out to be at the end of the day. And I think a deep pairing that produces as well as defends, like all 3 do now for the Colorado Avalanche, led by Josh Manson, is a rather pleasant chemical in that mix.
Man, I'm my mind is reeling right now, thinking of how many old guy without a cup stories is going to be written about Brent Burns as we get closer to the playoffs. Like that is going to be the guy. That is going to be the guy we all rally around to see him try to win the cup for the first time.
Hang on, a defenseman goes to Colorado to win his first cup? Really? I can't think of anyone who comes to mind.
We talked earlier about my therapist. We worked really hard to help me forget about that season. Exit 16W. Get out of here.
You'll never forget, Greg. You'll never forget, and I will always forget.
Now listen, my last question to you is a philosophical one, and I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you. I don't even know if there is an answer, to be honest with you. Does this season happen if the Rantanen trade doesn't happen? I don't know.
Boy, that's hard to say. We would need an Avengers-like machine with some PIM particles to go back and figure out an alternate universe if that's the case or not. That's really fascinating, and I would love to see the alternate universe where that's still here. I will say this, that Marty Necas has turned into an unbelievable fit on this team, because not anybody can play with Nathan MacKinnon, not everybody can skate with Nathan MacKinnon, not everybody can finish each other's sandwiches like with Nathan MacKinnon, right? So to be able to think and play with 29, that list is very, very short in the National Hockey League. And Marty Necas, we were talking about just his pure skating this morning, an effortless skater. It's smooth. It doesn't take any energy whatsoever. So for him to be able to do that, and Mikko Rantanen, not the best skater on the planet, and a great shot, can always finish the puck, but every other piece seemed to always be trying to catch up with Nathan MacKinnon. Marty Necas is, for the most part, step for step right there with Nathan MacKinnon all the time, which makes him a natural right winger up there, a natural on the first power play. Well, he'll be back tonight. They moved him down the past couple of games to try and get that going a little bit. But I will say that the production for Necas personally, and then for the team, has just skyrocketed, and a career year upcoming for him. So I think it has worked out the exact way that it was supposed to work out for everybody.
Okay, if we play it out, though, like the money they save on Rantanen theoretically goes to re-signing Brock Nelson, in theory, right? And
in
like
theory,
after
yes.
a real
And Nelson is red hot too right now.
Yeah. He had a rough start, but like you watch him play like the last month, and it's like, okay, maybe they did solve 2C finally with him. Yeah. So if you got Necas and you got Brock Nelson,
and a guy like Jack Drury who can win faceoffs, traditionally a problem that the Avalanche have had. I think only one game in his last 18 for Jack Drury that he's been below 50% from the dot, and he takes a lot of draws every single game. So, and he's had 2 goals in his last 4, so the production is starting to come there. So you get arguably 3 players for the price of 1, and for a team that depth was the question mark after the 2022 Cup run, that it's almost like Chris McFarland knows what he's doing once in a while, which is all the time.
They had to get that friggin' bum Rantanen off the team, and then everything's fine and dandy.
That's stiff. Okay, 1976-77. I'm going to go historical here with my final question for you.
I love when you do that.
The Montreal Canadiens have that historic season. They only lose 8 games. 3 to the Boston Bruins, 2 to the Buffalo Sabres, 1 to the Maple Leafs, 1 to the Rangers, and 1 to the St. Louis Blues. So we're comparing Colorado to like the elite teams of the past, obviously. So again, Boston 3, Buffalo 2, Leafs, Rangers, and St. Louis Blues 1. Who gives the Colorado Avalanche their toughest game this season? Who is that team?
I mean, it's kind of already happened. We lost by 6-3 at the New York Islanders, which started out a 4-game trip at the beginning of December. And for whatever reason, the Islanders at UBS Arena, on the island in general, I think the Avalanche have only won 3 games on Long Island ever. But that's always a tough out there for whatever reason. That was one of the only games all year where you felt, how about this? I will say this with confidence. That's the only game all year where I felt that it was out of reach for Colorado to get a point. In 41 games now, that game at the New York Islanders was really the only one. All 3 regulation losses have been on the road in the Eastern Conference. The Avalanche versus the West have been nearly unbeatable. So they'll have plenty of time to figure that out until the Stanley Cup final, when that means the most.
And Brent Burns finally gets his Stanley Cup. Connor, thanks as always for stopping by. It would be. I just want to. Honestly, I just want to see a picture of Brent Burns holding the Stanley Cup right beside Ray Bourque holding the Stanley Cup. Like that right there is one for the ages. Anyhow, a lot of hockey till we get there. Connor, thanks as always for stopping by. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for calling, boys. Good to see you.
There he is, the great Conor McGahey, play-by-play voice of the Colorado Avalanche. Chemist.
You want to see him hold the cup up next to Bourque. I want to see him take the puck to the ranch and have he's probably got like
snakes
a dinosaur
in it?
there. Like,
you want to see snakes?
There's some animal we don't even know he has on that ranch.
Wow.
I want to see that animal eating out of the cup, like a dinosaur, Nessie. Like something's on that ranch we don't know about.
See lizards and snakes in the cup. I wonder if there's ever been a snake in the cup. There have been snakes that have won the Stanley Cup. There are a lot of snakes whose teams are on the Stanley Cup. But I wonder if there's actually ever been a snake in the Stanley Cup.
I mean, we'd have to probably call up one of the keepers of the cup and find out. Have you ever observed a snake in the cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to my previous question, who was the biggest snake to win the Stanley Cup?
I think we talked about him before on the Panthers.
I think there's some owners who have their names on the Stanley Cup, Greg Wyshynski, in the history of hockey.
Yeah. They had their father's name on the Stanley Cup, are you trying to say?
Well, listen, it's not exactly a secret that the history of this league is like this. It's the only professional sports league where the owners have gone to prison more than the players.
That's true. I think you're absolutely right.
All the way back. It's 1917.
Speaking of owners, we got to talk about James Dolan before we run out of time here.
Yes, we do.
First, gives his first media availability in forever to the afternoon show on WFAN in New York.
Yep.
It's in the middle of a Knicks season, and then they go out, and I think they got blown out last night or something after Dolan speaks. But they ask him about Chris Drury, and he gives him and Mike Sullivan. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it gives him a vote of confidence about
and
not only like, yeah,
not just the vote of confidence, but the vote of patience. Because you see, his reason for it was they're trying to change the culture here. This isn't just like, yeah, we need to win more hockey games. Like he frames it in a way that's like, we're in for the long haul here. Like when you realize, like, in 1914 trench warfare, we're not going to be home by spring. We're in here for the long haul. Like that's the big thing that I took away from it. Again, owners can change their opinions just like that, and all of a sudden it becomes again about wins and losses and everything changes. But it sounds like he's like, not only does he have the vote of confidence, but Drury has the vote of confidence for a long time, because this isn't just about wins and losses. That's what I took.
The two takeaways for me is he called Chris Drury a guy who hates to lose and he's a winner. And I'm just like, my God, are we still feasting on that Little League World Series? Are we still doing it? It sounds like we're still doing it.
He did win the Little League World. You should put it. For those who don't know, Chris Drury, excellent baseball player growing up too, and did win the Little League World
literally has been living off that reputation for the entirety of his hockey career. And the second thing is, you're completely right. Like the way that James Dolan portrayed the Rangers was that they are trying to change the culture, and it takes a while to do so. And the only thing I could think of, Marek, was he's parroting the words that were given to him by Chris Drury as justification for the things he's trying to do, and he's spitting them back out to explain what is happening with the team. Now, he called Mike Sullivan like one of the greatest culture builders in the NHL. I'm still trying to wrap my arms around that. I think the culture in Pittsburgh probably came from '87.
Came from
not
Crosby.
Necessarily from the coach. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong. But here's the thing: when again, like, you got to put on like your owner's Dakota ring. When you talk about culture, what you're talking about is winning. Like that's it,
right?
Like how many teams can you look at and said, "Oh, this team's got great culture, but never won." It's only a great culture when you win. Like, is it possible to have a? What's that?
Carolina?
So far, yeah, probably.
On ice culture.
Oh, okay.
I know.
On ice
culture with the owner through the years, whenever, but like the Rod Brindamore culture, I think, might be the only example of one that the culture is right, but they just haven't won.
They haven't won yet. That's actually a good example. Anything more on James Dolan? Because I want to show something here real quick.
No, I just found it to be really interesting, and I know there's a lot of Ranger fans that aren't happy with the direction of the team, but like, it was a pretty ringing endorsement that Drury's going to be there and he's going to see this thing through, and like right now he's his hands on the wheel as far as making the changes to the roster he thinks needs to be made. So I mean, we'll see where it all goes. I'm not all that inspired by the things that they've done, but it's his team.
Scary to see Shesterkin go off the ice like that too, hey?
Oh, it sucked.
Rangers,
and it wasn't even like, it didn't even look like Peterka really made contact with him.
No, Peterka didn't touch him. Peterka stops.
Fell back on his leg.
Peterka stops in the crease, but he doesn't hit Shesterkin at all, which are always the scary ones for me, when there's not an obvious, like, well, he didn't get hit, nothing happened, yet the goalie can't even put pressure on his left leg going off. Those are always ones where I'm like, oh man, it's going to be so bad, because there's not an obvious injury.
He has spackled over so many holes in that team this year for them, and like, that just sucks.
I know. Okay, something I want to show here. So yesterday, the hockey world lost a giant in Bob Pulford, Hockey Hall of Famer, touched a number of different organizations, both as a player and a coach and an executive. We think of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We think of the Los Angeles Kings, where he won the Jack Adams, the only LA Kings coach to ever win the Jack Adams. We think certainly about the Chicago Blackhawks. With Bob Pulford. So he passed away at the age of 89. But Bob Pulford, if we can roll the video, if you have it all fired up here, Zach. So this is 1963. So this is Montreal and Toronto. Bob Pulford fighting Terry Harper. Okay, knocks him down. All right, Harper comes back up. It's like the curtain back fight, ladies and gentlemen. Curtain back knocks down Harper once. He comes back up again. Harper gets knocked down twice. That's for you old school fans. So they get to the penalty box. Okay, and Harper's already in there. Pulford comes in. Now, Harper says something to Pulford. And this is the way the penalty box used to be. The guys sat beside each other.
They just sat next to each other.
That's the way penalty boxes used to be in the NHL. This is 1963. And Harper starts coming back. Now, Pulford never said what Harper said to him to initiate this fight again. But he said
the hell out of each other.
Yeah, in the penalty box. That's the way it used to be. So this event is what finally ushered in the NHL separating the penalty boxes. Now, this happened previously. It was 44 or 45. Rocket Richard, Montreal Canadiens playing against the New York Rangers with a guy by the name of Bob Dill, who they fought on the ice. Rocket knocked him out. They went to the penalty box, shared, and Rocket knocked Bob Dill out again in the penalty box. The incident was referred to in a great title. I know you'd love this one, as The Pickling of Bob Dill, but is what the incident is referred to if you want to look it up online. But it was that fight, finally the NHL was like, forget it, we're separating the boxes. And to their credit, I always love this about the Montreal Canadiens. When they finally separated the boxes, there was home and visitors. But instead of home and visitors, you know what sign they put up that they had to take down?
What?
Good guys and bad guys. In the old forum. After that,
fantastic.
in 1960, it only lasted a few weeks. And NHL was like, yeah, just put that down and just put home and visitors.
Do you have any what was the thinking in just having two guys sit next to each other? Like, it's just how it was always done. Like, there was never any concern about these guys
penalty boxes
each other in the bin?
I'm glad you asked this, because penalty boxes were at that point too like a relatively new invention. Like, when you had a penalty, generally, you know where you sat?
On your own bench?
Behind it. They would set up chairs.
Okay.
They would set up chairs behind your bench, and that's where the players would go. And then they came up with the idea of, let's have a penalty box to put all the bad players that have done an infraction.
The Island of Misfit Toys.
The Island of Misfit Toys. We're going to get a box for them all to go in, not thinking, you know what, just because they open a gate doesn't mean like the animosity is going to start. And a couple of it's, again, like the pickling of Bob Dill was a famous one, but then it was the Pulford-Terry Harper fight, which finally ended it. By the way, it was, Pulford never admitted it, but Harper said something about Bob Pulford's sexuality that set him off. So times have never changed in the NHL. But anyway, so that's all they used to do. They used to just have set up a chair behind the bench, like behind the coach, like in the aisles, like where the fans walked by. That's where the bad guys who did a trip or did a slash
even
went.
That's easily one of the most archaic things I've ever heard about hockey. The idea that those guys just, and I apologize if this is like common knowledge. I maybe I learned it one year and then forgot about it because I learned another skill, and like Homer Simpson, I learned one thing and forget another. But the idea that it was just commonplace for these guys that used to literally assault each other on the ice would just sit next to each other. And I guess it's like a gentleman's agreement that we won't murder each other sitting next to each other for 2 minutes. I just can't even fathom that in the context of today's game.
Did I ever tell you the God Save the Queen story?
Please do.
I never told you this. So the way that they used to, this all started in Nova Scotia.
We've been talking since 2010. I'm sure at some point you've told me this, but I don't remember it.
So it's all started in Nova Scotia, but it spread its way out across Canada. So when they would have them, mainly in junior hockey, when they have brawls. Before "O Canada," our national anthem, "God Save the Queen" or "God Save the King," was the national anthem of Canada, and the law was when you heard that, you stopped whatever you were doing, whether you were going grocery shopping or doing a podcast. I guess they didn't have podcasts then. You would have to stop what you were doing and stand at attention while the song played, right? And the only way they could break up brawls. Halifax is playing Moncton or whatever, and the only way they could bring up a brawl is to actually play it over the loudspeakers. Part of me never believed that. Part of me always thought okay, that's just a story. Until I watched a Memorial Cup. Actually, you watched it too. The Memorial Cup.
Yeah, that's where I remember it from. You showed me the video.
With the Derek Sanderson.
In the
and in the background, as they're trying to get the kids to stop fighting, they're playing "God Save the Queen." All these archaic ways of trying to break up fights.
This is what I'm talking about. Like in today's NHL, if there's like a line brawl, We need to play Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club. And everyone will start having a torch song experience with the chorus, as one does. It'll all calm down on the ice.
That's good.
Man, 2 people sitting next to each other in a penalty box,
right beside each other
the rest of the week. Yeah.
Yes, but you know what though? And generally nothing happened. Mm-hmm. Like the guy, I don't know how, but like, there's no way you'd ever have that. Can you imagine, dude? Could you imagine the '80s? Could you imagine the '80s or the early '90s? Guys,
could you imagine Detroit and Colorado? All of you sitting next to you in the penalty box. You're gonna shank them like one of the inmates on Oz.
That's actually a really good point. We have a new feature
by the
here.
way,
yeah.
Real quick, because you didn't ask me, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Go.
Yes, I'm upset about Robertson. Yes, I'm upset about Fox. Yes, I'm upset in the year of our Lord 2026. The U.S. is still building its team like this.
Greg.
Yeah.
Do you think, for 1 second, that the teams that we're seeing announced right now are the teams that are going to Italy?
Hopefully not.
Not hopefully not. No, they're not. Look what happens right away. Landeskog, Horvat, Taves, like Horvat, bam, right away. Like that's why Seth Jones. That's why I look at that. Man, he got a puck right up in the head. That's why I look at everybody losing their mind over the snubs and this, and I get it. Like I'm in this industry. It's talk radio fodder. I get it. I understand it. But I can't get upset about it because I know that at the end of all of it, you're upset about Adam Fox not being there. Adam Fox probably going to be there. You're upset about Jason Robertson not being there.
The philosophy behind it. I'm upset
I get that.
Every year since the Miracle, they've taken the wrong lesson from the Miracle, and they feel like the U.S. has to be some lunch pail blue collar bullshit team. And the first time we ever have the depth of talent, it's like I wrote about when we did the roster breakdown. Like they built a team to beat Canada instead of being Canada. And we have the talent to beat Canada now, and they've decided not to build that team.
Hang on a second, though. Like, part of it's funny you say that, because as a Canadian, the conversation up here is, did we just build the team just to beat America? I'm serious. Like, when you want to talk about, like, where's Mark Scheifele in all of this? Okay, like, where's Matthew Schaefer in this one? Where's Jacob Chychrun? Like, you can...
Tom Wilson is an anti-Kachuk deployment system.
Yeah, exactly. The Kachuk neutralization system. Like... I think it's the same thing. So I asked Berkey this. Okay, so Berkey was on like right after the announcement in Minnesota. And great. I said, Brian, and I'm thinking that he's going to say, well, no, Marek, you're a dummy, like he always says. I said, like, does it seem to you like the announcement we just heard from Doug Armstrong and the players that are going to be going to Italy here, does it look to you like Canada has put together a roster just to beat the United States? And he said, yes. And he said, because of that means they can also beat all the other teams, which I thought was an interesting point, and probably like a really flattering one too. Like the idea being, if you can beat the United States, you can beat anybody. Just like if you're the United States, you might be thinking to yourself, if we can beat Canada, if we can put together a roster that can beat Canada, we can beat anybody. Now, I know the Swedes are going to throw a wrench into that. Heck, the Latvians probably going to throw a wrench into that. The Finns are going to try to throw a wrench into that. Czechia is going to try to throw a wrench into that, certainly. But I thought it was an interesting perspective from Berkey. He goes, yeah, of course they did. But if you beat America, you can beat everybody. I thought that was an interesting thing.
Pretty much. All right. I'm sorry I stepped on your department.
No. We just got a new feature here, the sheet line. So you can leave your comments and criticisms, and in this case, corrections, I guess. Speakpipe.com. By the way, SpeakPipe has been sitting there for a long time, and finally someone used it. God, that's a great term. Speakpipe.com/thesheet to leave an audio correction or a comment or a question for all of us here. And I believe this one references you as well, Greg Wyshynski. So let's hear from whomever's on the sheet.
Hey,
line
Jeff.
here.
Hey, Zach. It's Fish.
Fish.
Never thought that I would be correcting the world's greatest hockey history knowledge knower in Jeff, but
it's not true.
It's talking about you.
No, he's not.
Fortunately enough for me, I am. A couple episodes ago, you said that Austin Matthews was born in L.A. But in fact, that is incorrect, as he was born in the same hospital as I was in San Ramon, California. Little unknown fun fact for you. Thanks, guys. Love the pod.
Fish.
There you go.
Thank you.
Fish.
I always thought it was Los Angeles. How close is San Ramon to Los Angeles, by the way?
That's a good question.
That I don't know. But you know what the reason
SoCal.
the reason why I thought this was interesting is we all play I don't know if you play this in the United States, but in Canada, the idea that hockey is everywhere and everyone is proud of their hometowners. I'm from Owen Sound, the home of Harry Lumley, right? Curtis Sanford or from wherever. So you always like pipe back or clap back like all the players that were born in your hometown. I like the fact that Fish, if that is indeed your real name, that Fish brought up the fact that Austin Matthews was born at the same hospital, which I always remember when I was a kid growing up. See, I was born at Wellesley Hospital. It's not there anymore. Wellesley Hospital, which was the place where when Maple Leafs players got injured or anyone else playing at Maple Leaf Gardens, that was the hospital they took the players to. And for whatever reason, when like your boy Jeffy was 7 or 8 years old, I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Oh, Valaket just got injured. He's going to Wellesley Hospital. And they would say it on television. I'm like, wow, I was born there. And that's where they're sending the players to go get stitched up. That's so cool. You look quizzical. You have a puzzled look on your face, Greg.
Here's an interesting thing I've come to find out. San Ramon is actually just east of Oakland. 5 hours and 20-minute drive to the former Staples Center in Los Angeles. So he's a NorCal kid. It wasn't even a SoCal kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, again, like, do not position me as some like great historian. I don't publish peer-reviewed papers. I just spit out Terry Harper, Bob Pulford hockey fight facts from 1963 and goes, oh, guy knows history. I just happen to like it. I just happen to enjoy it. We got one more. We do have one more on the sheet line here for you. Then we'll let you get on with your day.
Hello, Zach and Jeff. My name's Matt from Atlanta. First, let me say I'm beyond excited about the return of Atlanta to its rightful place in the NHL in the next few years. I know we have a stigma to break, but rumors of our apathy have been greatly exaggerated. Ever since the Thrashers left, I've made it my purpose to be an irrational champion of Sunbelt hockey, so here's my hot take.
Okay.
It is an act of profound cowardice that the NHL did not have the Lightning and Panthers play each other in the Winter Classic. They are established franchises nearing 3 decades old. They're competitive with multiple championships between them. And most of all, Jeff, they're full of grumpy hockey players who hate each other. It could have been an immensely entertaining game that would have fanned the flames of a relatively fledgling rivalry and almost certainly resulted in a raised profile for the game in Florida and probably some supplementary discipline.
Yes.
Instead, the NHL felt the need to shoehorn in big market teams. I get that they were chasing the almighty dollar, but it sends a message to Southern fans that they still don't believe in the Florida teams and that they need an original six crutch to be worthy of the league's attention. Instead of growing the game and the rivalry, the league kneecaps future growth out of jealously guarding what profit they could make right now. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
Matt, thank you. Matt from Atlanta. He's well. Now,
when he said return,
first of all,
when he said return Atlanta to its rightful place in the NHL, I assume he means in Quebec City by 2040.
Wow. No.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry, Matt.
Not going to happen. But there will be a return to Atlanta for the NHL. To the point about it's interesting. The Sun Belt champion. I think we all understand why the Rangers were there. I mean, you want to try to get as many eyeballs on this as possible. The other thing that I'm not sure how much this got concert, but before they bought the Florida Panthers, the Viola family, like to a person, were huge Rangers fans.
Yeah,
like I'm sure part of this is like, yeah, we own the Florida Panthers. Choose your rival for the Winter Classic. Like that's a family that grew up adoring the New York Rangers, and whenever they were in Florida, the Panthers, it was a massive deal for that family.
They've tried to figure out a Rangers Panthers game at West Point forever. Part of that is Viola's history with the Army. Part of that is also the Rangers of it all. Yeah, to Marek's point, like there's not only a television aspect to it. Obviously, I work for a rights holder. Let's just put that on the table. Having Boston in an outdoor game is going to bring a huge audience that otherwise would not be watching a Battle of Florida game. Same thing with having the Rangers in that kind of game. On top of that, you are talking about two areas of the world that have a certain migrant pattern towards Florida. So there are a lot of Bruins fans of Florida, and there are a lot of Rangers fans of Florida that won't have to drive all that far to go see their team in an outdoor game. Now, that being said, it may not be the best for television, and it may not be the best for revenues, but it would be the best for hockey fans like you and me, Matt. Matt, right? Yeah, Matt. Battle of Florida, round 1 in Miami. Battle of Florida, round 2, Stadium Series in Tampa. That would have been really cool.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Those two teams play outdoors twice in the same season in two different parts of Florida would have been really cool.
Here's the problem, though. Network time is very expensive, and if it were Tampa and Florida, the game would still be going now. That's really, really expensive. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun, but the game would still be on.
I hear you. I hear you. And it's, again, like, I think variety is the spice of life, and having the same two teams play twice in the same season in Stadium Series games probably doesn't, or outdoor games rather, probably doesn't make sense. But look, to your point, yeah, sure. Those teams have earned the right to have their own outdoor game. But part of the math of these things is these franchises hate each other. Who gets to have it? Do you think the Lightning are all fired up about playing in Miami? I think the Panthers are like, yeah, we should definitely support our brothers in Tampa and be the guest for their outdoor game. Like, there's a certain amount of politics involved there too that you have to remember as well.
Good point. Okay, got a couple more things to do, but you need to get released because you're on parental leave. Sort of.
I am daddy duty. Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Who's your daddy? What does he do? He watches hockey games and he comes on and he does impressions.
We'll have a whole discussion one day about, like, my eldest daughter discovering my entire career over the last couple of years.
Oh, she finally clued into what you do?
She's very clued into what I do now that she's like a huge Devils fan. But, like, it's been fun to see both the recognition of my accomplishments and befuddlement as to what it is I do.
My wife said to me once, she said, you don't actually do anything. All you do is talk about things that other people do. I was offended briefly until I realized she was right.
I've often thought about the zombie apocalypse, and could I carve out a niche for myself, creating a podcast to entertain the survivors, or would I be one of the first people eaten by the people that are now starving?
We'd both be one of the initial casualties. We'd be the front line of the Thriller video. That would be us. We'd be
especially I'd be dinner and leftovers. Like, you're kind of a waifish sort.
Hey,
I'd be dinner and leftovers.
How dare you? How dare you, Greg Wyshynski, offend me like that? All right, be off with you, Father Wyshynski. We'll talk Thursday.
Care,
talk to you Thursday. There he is. Greg Wyshynski from ESPN at ESPN.com. A couple things to fly through here. Hungry for Hockey History. I like this one. I really like this one today, Zach. Hungry for Hockey History, a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins, if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Our favorite game day dip is Zach. What do you got for Hungry for Hockey History today, Zacharoo?
You said the favorite game day dip is me?
Yeah. You're my favorite dip.
Okay. Today we're looking back to 1968. Jacques Plante's 300th win. Jacques Plante became the first Canadiens goalie to record 300 victories, blanking the New York Rangers 6-0. He was only the fourth goalie in league history at that time to reach that mark.
One of the best of all time. I don't think we spend enough time talking about how great Jacques Plante was. He was the original Martin Brodeur in a lot of ways. He was the first goaltender, not the first to do it, but the first to do it consistently and as a tactic. Play the puck outside of the crease, wander a little bit. And here is the thing that I always, and by the way, there's a great book if you're interested in Jacques Plante or just looking for a great hockey book, Todd Deneau is a great hockey historian and researcher. His book on Jacques Plante, it is called The Man Who Changed the Face of Hockey. Todd Deneau, Jean Beliveau actually wrote the foreword for the book, is excellent reading. But you know what I always think about when I think about Jacques Plante? You know what he did on the road? Well, other players were off cavorting and drinking and doing who knows what to who knows who. He stayed in his hotel room and he knitted scarves and socks and hats and sent them back home. Also, this popped up on my feed, one of my mini hockey feeds that I follow on a regular basis. It's funny that today is Jacques Plante Day for Hungry for Hockey History, because his old Miller Lite commercial from the 70s popped up. Do you have, did I send this to you, right? Do you have this? Okay, let's try. This is Jacques Plante and Boom Boom Geoffrion in another great hockey-inspired Miller Lite commercial from the 70s. Enjoy this.
Je m'appelle Boum Boum Geoffrion.
Je m'appelle Jacques Plante.
Nous sommes tous deux des anciens joueurs de hockey.
Et nous buvons la bière light de Miller.
Oui, nous buvons light parce qu'elle a 1/3 moins de calories que leur bière régulière. Elle est moins rassasiante.
Non, nous la buvons parce qu'elle a un goût magnifique.
Elle est moins rassasiante.
Goût magnifique.
Elle est moins rassasiante.
Goût magnifique.
Sacré bleu.
Imbécile.
You believe this guy?
Tu chavires.
Mais t'es un fou.
Casse la tête.
La bière like de Miller. Tout ce que vous désirez d'une bière, et moins.
You know what we need in the NHL now, Zach? We need commercials with hockey players arguing about beer.
Yeah.
That's what those Miller Lite commercials. Oh man, like the one with John Davis, like they used to do awesome hockey commercials back in the day. Anyhow, yeah, Jacques Plante. The book is called, if you get a chance, you can find it online. The Man Who Changed the Face of Hockey, Jacques Plante, written by the great Todd Deneau, who also did a great book on the Montreal Canadiens Red Army tie, which many call the greatest hockey game ever played. In the meantime, we'll wrap up with this one, and stay with us here, Zach, because this is your shine spot. Spotlight ready to go to center ice, and Zach Phillips. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build up your bets until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus, and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Zach.
So, my roommates and my friends the other day were talking about superhero movies and movies they've seen and which ones are good and stuff, and then it got me thinking the line, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Not only that, but with powers, if you use your powers for petty, it comes with cons. Elias Pettersson, Owen Power, I threw in there, and then Andrew O'Connor. Pettersson, Owen Power, Andrew O'Connor. Your petty powers comes with cons. No? $5 to win 660.
I was gonna say, get us to the pay window here. What's $5 gonna get us?
Yep, $668 tonight.
All right. What is it again? Petty powers.
Using your powers for petty comes
that's
with
right.
cons.
Using your powers comes with cons. Have you heard any feedback from FanDuel on your pithy little parlays? Your
I
pithy
feel like
parlay.
they see this and
Maybe
they're
that's
just
it.
like,
That's the new title of the segment. Zach's pithy parlays, brought to you by FanDuel.
Sure. Yeah, that works for me.
That works for me
I think
too.
that's fair. Putting some nonsense out there. Hopefully, people are having fun with this. So
I'm just waiting for one to hit. I am just waiting for one to hit, and I will giggle like you wouldn't believe.
Vic just texted me right now and said that was awful.
Jeez, if even Vic is like, oof, man, you got to calm that down. Like, this is Vic saying this. Like when Vic is saying, like, have some shame, man. You know you've really done something here. So the interactive ways to get involved. Comments, questions, spicy takes, insults, and corrections. The sheet lines, speakpipe.com/the sheet. please use liberally. And the email, thesheet@thenationnetwork.com. Had a couple that I wanted to get to today, but time was not our friend. We'll get to them tomorrow. Thanks to everyone for dropping by the program today.
Can I tell you something, one thing before you go on Marchand? So he was asked about Matthews by Lance Hornby. Just wanted to throw this out there.
Yeah,
he was asked about Matthews
guy.
And the scoring records and setting future scoring marks.
Yes.
And Marchand, and specifically with the Leafs, and Marchand ended his interview with "if he's still here," and then walked off laughing and doing the stir the pot emoji or motion.
Just the best.
Just wanted to throw that because that was one final. On the way out.
What he should have said was, well, he'll either do it here or in Los Angeles. Or San Ramon. No, sorry, Los Angeles. That's for our boy Fish. Thanks for being part of the speakpipe.com/the sheet line. Thanks to Conor McGahey, play-by-play voice of the Avalanche, for stopping by. And as always, on Tuesdays here, Greg Wyshynski from ESPN and ESPN.com. You have yourself a great rest of your day. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, for more On the Sheet. No pithy little comment, just that's it. Talk to you tomorrow. Jeff Melanson along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also, a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also, DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host, Tyler Yaremchuk, alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said